Study Session 10, Normal and Abnormal Behaviors. Introduction. In this study session, we shall examine the concept of normality, abnormality, criteria for abnormal behaviors, causes and types of abnormal behavior, characteristics of adjusted and maladjusted persons, and adjustment continuum. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Define the term behavior, 2. Highlight at least 3 criteria for abnormal behavior, 3. Discuss the causes of abnormal behavior, 4. List at least 4 types of abnormal behavior, and 5. Analyze the characteristics of normal and abnormal persons. Concept of behaviors. Any normal behavior refers to a socially approved behavior. It also refers to a behavior that is not biologically, mentally, or psychologically impaired. Abnormal literally means away from the norm. Meyer and Salmon, 1984. Abnormal behavior, therefore, simply means a behavior that deviates from normal or socially approved behavior. For example, going about nakedly by somebody who is not mad. The term used to define abnormality include the following. 1. Defiant. This refers to a behavior that differs markedly from socially accepted standard of conduct. 2. Different. This suggests a behavior that varies significantly, at least statistically, from accepted norm, but does not usually have negative connotations. 3. Disorder. This implies a lack of integration in behaviors, which may result to impairment of a person's ability to cope in various situations. 4. Bizarre. This suggests a behavior that differs extremely from socially accepted norms. It also connotes inadequate coping patterns and disintegration of behavioral patterns. Criteria for abnormal behavior. Because definitions of abnormality vary so much among different cultural groups, it is difficult to determine or say exactly whether a particular person is defiant, disordered, statistically different, or we can use a combination of this term to describe him or her. Nevertheless, several guidelines have evolved that are consistently relevant to the issue of abnormality throughout history and across most cultures. Such criteria or guidelines, according to Meyer and Salmon, 1984, are the following. 1. Inability to inhibit self-destructive behavior. 2. Seeing or hearing things that others in the culture agree are not there. For example, hearing strange voice or seeing strange objects, animals, or persons. 3. Sporadic and or random outbursts of violence. 4. Consistent inability to deal interpersonally in an effective manner. 5. Persistent academic and or vocational failure. 5. Persistent academic and or vocational failure. 6. Anxiety and or depression. 7. Inability to conform to codes of behavior, even though verbalizing a desire to do so. 8. The defense or bizarreness of behavior from the norms of the society. 9. The community and or persistence of disordered behavior over time. And 10. The resulting degree of disruption in intrapersonal and or interpersonal functioning. Causes of abnormal behaviors. Early explanations. The search for the explanation of the causes of abnormal behaviors dates to ancient times. Altman and Emery, 1995. References to abnormal behavior have been found in ancient accounts from the Chinese, the Hibbaric, the Egyptian societies. Many of these records attribute abnormal behavior to the disfavor from the gods or the mischief of demons. In fact, abnormal behavior continues to be attributed to demons in some pre-literate societies today. Therefore, in the olden days, abnormal behaviors were attributed to demons' possession, or you say evil spirit, witchcraft, juju violation, or false oath, and insect bite. For example, bite of an insect called tarantula in Italy, causing tarantism or mass madness. Attempts to offer more earthly systematic accounts of the causes of abnormal behaviors can also be traced to the Greek physician Hippocrates, 460 to 367 BC. He hypothesized that abnormal behavior had natural causes, specifically an imbalance of one of four body fluids, namely blood, thalamic, black bile, and yellow bile. He argued that different personality styles resulted from an excess of each of the four respective fluids. He believed that a sanguine, cheerful personality was caused by an excess of blood. A phlegmatic, sluggish personality was as a result of too much phlegm. Excess black bile was imported to be the cause of a melancholic, that is, gloomy style. A choleric, that is, ill-tempered personality was said to result from too much yellow bile. Though the specifics of Hippocrates' theory obviously have little value today, a systematic attempt to uncover natural biological explanations for abnormal behaviors, that is, mental disorders, has a lasting contribution to physiological explanations of abnormality in human beings. Biological explanation. Infections or diseases. Infections or diseases such as general paralysis, delirium of malaria, syphilis, meningitis, and so on, can cause abnormal behavior in people. Mujoyola 2000. Heredity. Inheritance of gene of insanity from either of the parents can result in abnormal behavior during childhood and adulthood. For example, schizophrenia. Early childhood experience. Freud argued that early childhood experience played a central role in the development of mental illness and abnormal behavior, e.g., hysterical or conversion reaction. Social explanation. The 19th century witnessed another critical development in approaches to understanding abnormal behavior. Learning theorists and humanistic psychologists contributed a lot to the understanding of causes of abnormal behavior. Among these are the following: learning and social learning approach. Schema's 1953 principle of condition asserts that behavior is a function of its consequences. Specifically, behavior increases if it is rewarded and it decreases if it is punished. Therefore, when behavior, that is, aggressive behavior, is reinforced in a child by its parents, it may become abnormal behavior if he constantly engages in it. Abnormal behavior, e.g., aggression, can be learned by mere watching other people engaging in it and being rewarded for it. Bandura, 1973. Humanistic approach. Abraham Maslow, 1908 to 1970, and Carl Rogers, 1902 to 1987, were the major advocates of the humanistic approach to conceptualizing abnormal behavior. According to them, the very essence of humanity is free will. Therefore, human behavior is not determined but is a product of how people choose to act. Human nature is assumed to be inherently good. Humanistic psychologists therefore blamed dysfunctional, abnormal behaviors on the society instead of the individual. In other words, abnormal behaviors are due to the frustration of the society. Altamont and Emery, 1995. Types of abnormal behavior. Abnormal behavior is often viewed as the result of underlying mental disorders. It is therefore sometimes regarded as mental or psychopathological disorders. Therefore, according to DSM-4 classification, abnormal behavior can be categorized into the following types: child or adolescent disorder, mental retardation, learning disorder, motor skill disorder, eating disorders, etc. Delirium, dementia, cognitive disorder, substance intoxication delirium, withdrawal delirium, dementia due to head trauma or HIV disease, etc. Substance abuse related disorder, alcohol use disorder, alcohol induced disorder, amphetamine use disorder, schizophrenic and other psychotic disorder. Schizophreniform disorder, brief and shaped psychotic disorders, etc. Mood disorders, major depressive and bipolar disorders, etc. Anxiety disorders, panic disorder with or without agoraphobia, specific phobia, social phobia, acute stress disorder, etc. Eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, etc. Somatization disorder, conversion disorder, pain disorder, and hypochondriasis, etc. Factitious disorders. Symptoms are deliberately and constantly produced and stimulated by the patient. For example, physical symptoms like nausea, vomiting, pain, or psychiatric symptoms as delusion, hallucination, etc. Sexual and gender identity disorder, sexual desire disorder, sexual arousal disorder, orgasmic and sexual pain disorder, dyspareunia and vaginismus, etc. Sleep disorders, dysomnia, primary hypersomnia, narcolepsy, parasomnia, nightmare disorders, sleep tenor disorder, sleepwalking disorder, etc. Dissociative disorders, dissociative amnesia, dissociative fatigue, and so on. Impulsive control disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, kleptomania, pythomania, pathological gambling, etc. Personal disorder, paranoid, schizoid, schizotypal, antisocial, histrionical, dependent, narcissistic, avoidant, and obsessive compulsive personality disorders. Okay. Nature or characteristics of normal and abnormal persons. Normal or well-adjusted or healthy person. The well-adjusted, normal or healthy individual are always found at a positive end of adjustment continuum. Most people are at the center or middle. Normal individuals have the following characteristics. 1. The well-adjusted or normal or healthy person experiences conflicts and is not unnecessarily disturbed by it. 2. He attacks his problem in a realistic manner. 3. He is a productive and creative person. 4. He cries out his daily activities with enthusiasm. 5. He relates with other people well and satisfactorily. 6. He does not run away from tasks he is capable of doing. 7. He has confidence in himself. 8. He is able to give and receive affection. 9. He recognizes and accepts his shortcomings. And 10. He does not depend too much on other people for help or exploits them. Abnormal or maladjusted or unhealthy persons. This group of people are at the left end of the adjustment continuum. They are characterized as follows. The abnormal, maladjusted individual is unduly disturbed. 1. The abnormal or maladjusted individual is unduly disturbed by his or her problems. 2. He often solves his or her problems by denying realities. 3. He takes issues with other people on matters that cannot be helped. 4. He may withdraw from other people. 5. He is preoccupied with his feelings. 6. He is seldom aware of his shortcomings. 7. He attempts to achieve unrealistic goals. 8. He is obsessively guilt-ridden. 9. He lacks confidence in himself, and he is also lacking a self-esteem. And 10. He is extremely self-centered. Adjustment continuum. The way people behave, cope, and adjust to conflict, stress, and other problems or challenges of life varies from one individual to another. While some people cope and adjust positively, others do so negatively. The adjustment continuum, therefore, helps us to distinguish normal or well-adjusted persons from abnormal or maladjusted individuals. At the extreme negative end of the criterion are those individuals who are so burdened with stress and resulted to various defense mechanisms. For example, denial, displacement, apathy, etc., which are helpless to deal with reality. They are people who are psychotic individuals who may engage in highly maladaptive behaviors or violent acts. Next to them are the neurotics. Most people are at the middle of the continuum. At the extreme positive end of the continuum are the normal, well-adjusted, healthy, and self-actualized persons who always engage themselves in highly adaptive behaviors. An illustration of the three categories of individuals is given in Figure 10.1 below. Study session summary. In this study session, we discussed both normal and abnormal behavior. We noted that normality and abnormality are two terms used to describe the behavior of individuals. A normal behavior refers to a socially approved behavior, while abnormal behavior means a behavior that deviates from normal or socially approved behavior. We highlighted the causes, types, characteristics of abnormal persons. That ends study session 10 and SOW102. Thanks for listening.